All right, we are live on Live Reality Games on Facebook and YouTube, and we just got done watching the finale of Survivor BC Season 5, Deus Ex Machina. Woo! And we have a jam-packed live stream for tonight, and I feel like it's gonna be hours long. And here we go. So if you're watching right now, you can see lots of people here. We're going to quickly introduce who's here for those who are listening on the podcast, and then we have someone else we need to bring in. So let's start with the guys to this side of me. Who's over here?
Hey guys, we're part of the LRG team. You know us, you see us in the podcast, and I got to play in this amazing season with these crazy people. It was a blast, and you saw how it went down. So without further ado, let's get to everybody else and get to the winner.
Wait, well, I mean, there's Kirk and your loved one that you mentioned, Dustin, on the episode tonight.
Okay, like it's Valentine's Day, I suppose, and I guess I'll you know what? It's coming out of the closet. I've done this many times in my life, so why not right now? So yeah, Dustin, I mentioned him in the scene, and we also have another partner as well, Nick. And so this was really fun night for all three of us together. It was badass. So
we've been cheering on him since episode 1, so I'm glad he made it to the finale. So
thanks, babe.
All right, awesome. Let's go to the other side of me. Who else is here?
Oh, I think you pointed me. Hi, I'm Nolan, Game 7. Oh man, that was really fun. I'm excited to be here and talking about my game, not just about a different Survivor BC season. So really excited to get into this.
Yes, glad you're here. Okay, let's go this way.
Hey everybody, I'm Mason. You know me as the second boot of this season, so I'll probably have the least to contribute. But I'm here. Maybe I'll get a little bit of word in. But I'm going to let these guys do most of the talking because I got to watch from the side for most of the season.
I got to watch from YouTube, so that's fine. All right, here we go. You want to go next, Cole?
Cole, 8th place. Didn't do too much, but I'm just here to contribute and talk along with you guys.
Woo! And then over here, who do we have?
Hey guys, my name is Tyler. I came in 9th place on the season, and I'm here to give you the tea. I'm going to let you guys know what was really going on and how I really feel about these people in this game so far. It's a lot to say.
We wouldn't expect anything less. And then last but not least, bringing in the winner of Survivor BC Season 5, we have Jack here. Woo! Hey Jack, how's it going?
Woo!
We cannot hear you, right? I don't know. I can't hear him. Unless it's just me. Well, Jack's here, and we are so glad he's here. I mean, he just said in the episode, you were like 19. You're probably, 21 now? So you've grown 2 years, finally get to watch your win on stream. Is your mic working yet? So, and I am Hannah. I just watched the season, did recaps on LRG, had a blast watching. I literally don't even remember when Mason was voted out. That feels like months ago. It feels like forever ago. So
it was a long time ago.
A long time ago. So so glad you guys are all here. I'm just gonna be sitting back enjoying the show. You guys, I'm sure, are gonna talk about, before we even started the stream, you guys were talking about a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna let you guys take over. I'll jump in with my random thoughts, and hopefully we could hear Jack talk at some point. So that's it for me. Does anybody have any thoughts to start off the night? What was it like reliving that finale episode?
I was about to say, Jack, if your sound is weird, just try logging out and logging back in. Sometimes that works. But for sure, reliving it for me was my personal dream. I posted that on my Facebook. I've played Survivor a few times, but being able to watch it happen was always the biggest dream. And I'm so thankful to the editors out there that when I walk away, I'm thankful to the creators, the people that make the games, the people that edit them, because that's who created my dream. Thank you. I could never be more grateful. I don't know how I could show my gratitude.
I love it. So we also have someone else joining the stream now. President of the Anti-Tyler fan club. We have Justin.
What up, party people? You guys can't have a BC reunion without me. How y'all doing?
Good. How's it going, Justin?
You know, I'm currently in the middle of my shift right now, but I just wanted to take some time to say hello to everyone. I love you guys. It was a great game. There's only one reunion show, and I couldn't miss it, so I'm here.
How much time do you have before you have to go?
Probably like 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's get it. 15 minutes.
Kurt, what's it like to see the person's coattails you rode the whole game back on screen? I'm just kidding.
Let's go. Okay, so no, let's talk about this for a hot second. Like literally, I will say there were times where we were both riding coattails. There's maybe stuff that wasn't seen where I was definitely riding coattails, but you know what, Justin? I don't know. I think it's crazy Jack won with 3 votes, but I think you only deserve 2 votes. I do. I still do.
You know, I, of course, haven't got to see anything. And so I don't really have an opinion on that yet. I still think that I played a better game than Jack overall. I think Jack had a better story coming from the bottom all the way to the top. It's a great overarching story, but I'm excited to watch later. And maybe it'll change my mind seeing what you guys have already seen.
Well, I'll speak up. I'm the Cheston defender. I voted for Cheston to win. I really wanted him to win because I thought he played the best game. But I think Jack deserved the win. Cheston may have earned my vote, and he earned Regan's vote. But Cheston, like, you came in as someone who's like a big fan of the show. You've seen the show before, yet you did not say a word to Suzette, who's on the jury. And I know your justification, but if you did that, you would have won the game. Suzette would have voted for you to win. 100% it was going to happen. But you played, like, it was such an atrocious social move.
I agree.
For not voting for you to win. Like, man, you were that close. All you had to do was like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, well, there I went. But you were like, I'm not going to talk to them. I want to show that I'm loyal to this side. And that's what bitching anybody. But I think you have an amazing ability to get people to trust you. And that's why I voted for you. And I don't regret my vote for you. But I do think Jack deserved the win. He won the hearts of the jury. His job isn't to win my hearts, to win the plurality of the jury vote. So I don't know what else to say with that.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also seen during the merge round where Kirk scoops up the girls, right? And they're all about Kirk. I didn't want to be that guy as well, because who's to say Kirk wouldn't have voted me out then for also having such a social game with both sides. I wanted my side to be extremely firm. Everyone knew where I stood and no one would ever question it. So maybe if I did that, maybe if I became Suzette's best friend super early, I wouldn't even made it to the end. But you're extremely correct.
But then you would have been in a position to win, though. So, like, I agree that you would have been in a position to win. Perhaps you would have been voted up before the final 3 then. But if you can't make the end with the jury votes, don't even show up. The whole point is to get to the end of the game and win.
Right. Well, I was counting on Kirk to vote for me. I didn't think that he would be as salty as he did.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have said, yeah, I was actually in charge. Kirk was following me the whole time, and maybe it could have changed.
I will say, it's been a long time since this season was filmed, probably 2.5 years. Cheston and I have had a lot of conversations about things that we both should have done differently. And most of Cheston's, what we've talked about should happen differently, was near the end of the game, obviously. And he's learned a lot from it, I think. And obviously he's going to do his best to defend himself, and what he did. But I think he's learned a lot from, the things that happened.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time, though.
Yeah.
It was a great season. And, at the end of the day, I'm wholeheartedly a person where if I can't win, I want to see someone win that I respect and admire, and that is Jack. He's a great guy. He put his faith and trust into two strangers, and he should be rewarded for that. So I'm okay with the Jack win if it isn't a Cheston win.
Well, Cheston played a good game. He just ran into a Survivor legend.
He had no idea what he was up against.
Look who found their voice. How's it going, Jack?
Good. It's fun reliving the finale.
Feeling post watching the episode.
Sorry, what did you say?
What do you do? How are you feeling past watching the episode? Like, what? Like, you feeling great about it? Are you feeling like?
No, it was fun. It was kind of hard to relive like the final tribal council again. Thanks to like Nolan and Tyler and others. But I don't know. I see things in my game where I can improve, and so that's fine if they laid into us also. It's whatever.
I don't know if you can improve that much. You won after all. So, hey.
Thank you,
nice
Dustin.
job.
I was about to say the same thing. I don't think you can improve that much. And isn't this, Jack, if I'm not correct, isn't this your second Survivor win?
Yeah, I'm the queen of LRGs. I'm 2-0.
Oh, baby. Jack, I don't know if you already knew this. You saw the episodes, right? I'm a 2. I've won 2 wins as well, baby.
Yeah, what, like 2 and 6 though?
Oh, okay. 2-0. 2-0. Okay, all right.
I'm the
Space Queen, Jack, but
I'm the winner of the Survivor Bothell, Survivor PNW Season 1. There were 8 people in my house, and I played a dominant game.
I watched it. I can attest to it. It was groundbreaking.
It was better than my BC game.
No joke. My first win is like College Survivor, and no offense to College Survivor, because we knew everybody that was there. It doesn't count. It really doesn't count. So, Jack, you earned the win. You did. It's the craziest win, and I can't believe more people aren't going to talk. Maybe they are going to talk about this, but just so you guys all know, I message all sorts of people, like the Survivor historians. I messaged Jordan Kalish. I made sure Shannon Gus even heard about this, and we were asking, has this ever happened in Survivor before where a plurality has won? And we can't find an example of this in live Survivor. So this might be, and I really think this should be the conversation where a minority decided the win. Can anybody, I don't know. I think this is the first time, Jack.
I'll take it.
I was truly shocked. I'll just say, from a viewer who just watched it tonight, I'm like one of the people who probably had no idea what was going to happen tonight. I was completely shocked.
Yeah, so does that make Jack the Justin Trudeau of live Survivor games then? For those who are not Canadian and don't get that reference, Justin Trudeau won with a minority government. So he also won with a plurality, but not a majority.
Or is the quote now, Jack stays Jack?
Jack stays Jack.
Okay, so let's review. So the jury members we have here, who voted for Jack? Kep? There we go, 2. Okay. And then who voted for Cheston? Do we have anybody? All right. And then Jeff. All right.
We have representatives from all sides.
I love it.
Somebody voted for every shit.
Right, I'm actually who here would change their vote after what they saw in the game? Like, would you change it, Nolan, Kirk, or Cole?
No.
You'd still vote Nolan. You literally text me during the episode saying, "Why did I vote Jeff?"
Yeah, you did.
I don't think I did that, but I think
I'm gonna pull it up.
Like we've talked about it since, your game aged well in my mind. But when I look at it, like I remember, Jack, our last conversation in the game, and I was thinking about this for watching the episode. When it was like we were done looking for the idol, it was basically on lockdown. I asked her, I was like, "Can you explain your game to me?" And you're like, "It's too complicated." And I was like, "It's just a super idol." And that was our last conversation in the game. And I was just like, after that, I was just like, the more I think about it, I was like, I couldn't have voted for you. So, and I was just too frustrated with Cheston. I was just kind of stuck with Jeff. And
that's fair. I think jury management was like easily my worst aspect of my game. Like that's just awful thinking back on that conversation.
Don't worry, because you guys are all bad at it. But
So yeah, I don't know because I know Cheston does it all the time. But Cheston, what's your like one regret from like if you could have done something differently? Like, what do you think you actually truly messed up in? Because obviously something went wrong.
I think that I should have been more social. I shouldn't have worried about how my previous Medea Alliance seen me. I was really concerned that they would have thought that I was going to flip on them or something. And I should have built stronger relationships with everyone in the merge. That's probably my biggest regret, is not having more connections, more options. Yeah.
I think that's a great assessment. I just think if you had those relationships with jury members, they would feel better about voting for you in the end.
Absolutely. And at the time, it seemed like a smart thing to do because my alliance didn't question me. They knew where I stood, but it ended up biting me in the end. So it is what it is, and it's a live and you learn thing, and you take it and you go from there. It's my first Survivor game. It's still my only Survivor game. I'm excited to play again, and if I get that far, hopefully I can correct that mistake, you know? So it's probably my biggest takeaway from that. Secondly, it's probably not explaining my side better in the final three of how my game was different from Kirk's and how I took my fate into my own hands about why I didn't speak out of sitting next to Jeff and whispering to Jeff to vote out Cole. When that was happening, I sat next to Hunter and told Hunter the same thing because I wanted to see what Hunter would do. At the time, me and Hunter had a final two. You know, we were the first people that we walked up to each other to make a duo. And I wanted to see if Hunter was still loyal to me. And I found out then and there that he wasn't. And that was so important for me to find out. And had I not done that, then I wouldn't have known that at that point. So you're shaking your head no, Kirk.
Because, well, I knew Hunter wasn't loyal by that point. So there was no like test I needed to take. Like Jeff was the only test. And Jeff, if you watch this at some point, I didn't know which side you were on, Jeff. You played such a great game. I didn't know what side you were on, but Hunter, I knew exactly where you were.
So I want to touch on Jeff quickly because I have a hot take about Jeff. I'm curious. I think Jeff is one of the worst players ever. I think, like, honestly, I think he's atrocious. Like, and let me give you.
No. How about we interrupt you? Want to be interrupted?
No, look, don't interrupt me. But no.
What?
This season?
No. Let me finish. Just kidding.
This season was literally built for Jeff to win. Everyone said at the beginning, had Jeff lost one of the first few tribal immunity challenges, he's out the door. He's not the most socially apt guy. He literally avoided any pre-merge tribals, and he got to go to the merge for free. A free ride where he's in a pivotal position where he's in the middle. That's a great position for him in the end, to be in. So he was so lucky to miss out on all those tribal councils because he probably goes home. And then when he gets to the end, somehow, when he could have been the most charming, nice guy to everyone, he has so much of the jury hating him. Even Regan, the nicest person on our season, was like, you know what, Jeff, that's enough. I'm not hearing it from you. So, like, I just feel like this was the season for Jeff to win, and he couldn't even pull it off here. Like, I couldn't imagine a better system for Jeff to win. Like,
Nolan, are you going to defend your vote? Let's go, Nolan.
Cole, I didn't say that to you. I want to reread our text, so get out of here with that. I totally disagree. Jeff was like, he got to the end by playing this like middle, and then it's like, he actually did stuff. Me and Regan had to go to him every round and try to get his vote. And we were stuck in that circle where eventually we were just like, fuck it, we'll just get voted out instead because we're so tired of talking to him. But at that point, he's guaranteed himself to go to the end with the others. So it's like he actually did stuff. I I think
he may have done stuff, but give me the scenario where Jeff wins the game, because I think
so. This is the thing. I think he wins the game if you're not sitting beside Regan or you're not talking to Regan at the jury, because I think she would have voted for him because I forgave him, and I think she would have too. And I think you persuaded her to vote for Cheston.
Regan voted on her own petard.
I will say, being behind the scenes and helping film most of the season, once I got voted out, I helped film quite a bit. I didn't think Jeff was a great player either. I agreed with Tyler during the season. I thought Jeff was terrible. I was like, there's no way. He doesn't deserve any votes. Watching the season kind of changed my mind a little bit. He just had such a good story. And he was real when he was alone with the camera. And I think that was where Jeff shined, was during his confessionals. And that really made me want to root for him. Do I think he should have won the game? No. I still think it should have been a Cheston or Jack win. But I did see a lot of stuff about Jeff behind the scenes that I really liked and that kind of turned me around on him some.
I think my issue with Jeff, though, was that he was on the bottom of the lines, at the bottom of Medea with me the entire pre-merge. And then he gets the merge and he has this opportunity to flip or play the middle. And then he constantly blue-balled us the entire after the merge. And it felt like he had Stockholm syndrome with Kirk. Like he was a prisoner who was like sympathizing with his captor. And that's what kept me from being able to vote for him at the end.
I think, Cole, in response to that, one of the things I like to say
it's a compliment to you, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't realize when I watched the season, I don't think a lot of people knew. People saw me go up to Jeff and tell him he was on the bottom, but people also told me you were on the bottom. But what I didn't realize is that Nolan and Amos were creating a plan that put me on the bottom too. I was actually on the bottom of Medea in the first part of the game.
Nolan and Amos wanted Hunter.
OG Medea here. Who goes home if we lose on the first vote? Just who do you think goes home?
I think it's Cole, me, or Jeff.
Wait, me, Nolan, and Nolan. Didn't you say you would have voted Hunter though with Amos?
Yeah, so we actually had a plan to blindside Hunter and leave you out of it. You and Cheston out of it.
Like that would have worked. It would have actually happened then. I was not going to vote out Hunter in round one.
Yeah, so the plan was we go out Jeff and Cole, and then we were going to use Sam, and me and Amos were going to, because I was worried if we voted out Cole or Jeff, the next vote you two would turn and try to split up me and Amos, and I thought you guys liked Amos more, so I would be the ideal target. So I wanted to shoot at you two first on the first vote.
Wow.
Totally makes sense. My strategy was to pick up who I thought were stragglers. So I was trying to pick up Jeff and Cole. And I know the edit didn't show that, but there was a conversation I definitely had with Cole. And I definitely was worried about Nolan and Amos because I saw them always walking off to the side of the mountain to go to the bathroom together. But it looked like they were talking. And I was like,
And they got the season 4 connection.
Oh, yeah. And that.
Yeah, it was, me and Amos definitely like talked too much, but oh well, we never lost, so we didn't have an issue.
Cheston, I guess before you have to head out, we'll ask you some more questions, but like, what was your favorite part of the season, or looking back and watching the episodes, is there something that stuck out to you? Definitely you turning to the camera and saying, and that's how you find out where the idol is, and digging through that that dirty like groundwater, everything. So what stuck out to you this season, watching or playing?
I hated every bit of it because I didn't win in the end. No, I'm just kidding. I loved it. I have been such a Survivor fan for so long, and I had such a desire to play. I host a local game. And so you ask yourself, do I have what it takes to play this game? And I found out that I guess I do in some degree. Just getting to be in a game, just be submersed in that environment was great. I loved it. I have the itch to do it again one day. And the cast was awesome. All these dynamic characters, really bright, really powerful people. It was very competitive, and that's all I really have to say is as I tip my hat off to everyone that was a part of it, to Gyra for creating it, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. So it was just an overall a great experience for me. You know, who knows if I ever will get to play Survivor again, but at least I got to play this one. So it was a dream come true in some degree, and so I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, Justin, why did you hate me so much, though, other man? I'm seeing all these confessionals. You're the anti-Tyler's Kakuno fan club. Like, Hannah was loving it. But I, the one who campaigned for you to win, is insulted. But no, I'm curious.
So it's nothing personal against you. Part of my strategy was to keep Medea together at Merge. I didn't want to be blindsided with someone flipping over. So my strategy was to continually put your name out there to give everyone a common goal where they would just, if they kept hearing your name over and over again, it would be like embedded in them. So they see Tyler, they're like, oh, I got to get Tyler out because I keep hearing Tyler. So from day one, I kept saying your name to everyone to sort of build morale. And it kind of worked. When Merge happened, we stuck together and we got out Tyler. It was nothing against you. It was just part of my plan to keep my alliance together.
Here's the funny thing too, is that he was the anti-Tyler before the season even started, before we even knew that Tyler was playing. Not because he hated you, but just he wanted to model his strategy off of the opposite of Tyler.
Really?
Like, I remember being on the plane ride up there, me and Cheston having this conversation, and him being like, "I want to play as the anti-Tyler. Like, I wanted." It was just so funny. And then, of course, you ended up playing, and that was kind of a freak out moment for us. Like, oh my God, he's playing. What are we gonna do?
Like we see Tyler walk up, and we're like, "Tyler, you're on production, right?" He goes, "No, I'm playing." We're like, "What?" And so, yeah, it was awesome. I wanted to have this strategy going in where people see how genuine I am, that I'm super trustworthy, and to find like-minded people, have them never question my loyalty, and then we just go to the end. And so it was kind of an opposite Tyler strategy going in, where you don't know where Tyler's going to land. He could backstab you at any second. But lately, you know, seeing Tyler in season 7, he plays kind of a loyal game.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, that's if you talk to Tyler, if you have a relationship with him, he's not backstabbing you at all. Like, he's
agree.
The most loyal player in the game, and it was
He
just
has that bad rep.
Yeah, it's like a bad rep.
He's just extremely rude to people. And
yeah, but it's like, I know
at Tribal.
Flipping.
You know where you stand with me.
Yeah, it's exactly. It was like the night it was poured. It was like the worst night, and me and Cole had that like standoff if we were going to do the challenge and all. Tyler woke me up like 3 a.m. and we went for a walk, and it was just like a very much like, hey, if you don't go back to them, like, we're good, and we can like, and it was just very much like believable, and it was genuine. And I think that like with Tyler is like, if you actually talk to him, he is a loyal alliance member.
I think that's what goes with Tyler, is Tyler's loyal to who he's loyal to, and you won't know who he's loyal to until you're out. But I gotta go. It was great being here. Thank you guys so much. I love every single one of you. Hannah, thank you so much for taking the time to host this podcast to make it a thing. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you later.
Good game, Justin.
See you, Justin.
But yeah, no, I remember that conversation, and then I woke up cold too. That's like, I mean, like, and that's what I said. Like, I mean, it's not a regret because there's something I could have done to change it. But I wish at the merge I had one night to stay overnight and get to talk to people and stuff like that. I think that would have, because that's where my game, I think, gets much stronger. It's when I have the time to bond and talk with people and get them to feel comfortable with me. Because I do agree with like what Justin says. When people see me, I have this reputation and they just kind of want me gone. But I think when I have time to kind of like, you know, put out my arms, give them a nice hug, and, you know, we could be buddy. I think that's where my strength comes in. But, you know, I probably would have still been voted out, but I think usually that's always what I try to do, just spend one night with the new people.
Mm-hmm. That was a mistake I made early in the game, was, you know, trying to make a big move too early, get Tyler out. Well, you know, when, you know, me and you were good if I wouldn't have done that. And obviously that's been a big learning thing for me. I had previously played in Cheston's local Survivor before coming up to BC, but BC was kind of my first, game really, because that local one back then was not as big as it is now. Now we actually have people that watch the show and stuff like that. But back then, it was a completely new thing to me, and I didn't think about, well, hey, I need to roll with like whoever I can and who's going to be loyal to me to the merge instead of trying to make these big moves so early. And I'm confident that like you would have been loyal to me and we would have been loyal to each other. I just tried to make a big move too early, and that was my fault.
I have a random question. So, I'm wondering, like, Jack, if you look back at your game, sorry if this is off topic, but like, if you think back of your game, now that you've watched the episodes and thought about it, over the 2 years since it's filmed, like, what would you, and maybe everybody else can have an idea of this too, but like, what was like Jack's like big move? I don't say big move. Oh, I don't like saying big move, but like the thing, what's like something that stuck out to you about your game? Like, this was the key to my winning game. Nope, I can't hear you. Does anybody have something that comes to mind?
Muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say for Jack, because if you notice, like, Jack swaps over to our tribe. So this is just considering my game with Jack. Mm-hmm. Jack votes against me at the first swap tribe. And I was really nervous at that tribal council. I didn't know whether I was going home or not. And I did my best. And I realized at the tribal council that Jack had voted against me. So moving into merge and moving into a huge idol move, when Jack voted with basically what I thought was happening, and granted, I did not know exactly what was happening. When I realized Jack was with that, I realized Jack was on my side, and that really validated him for my side, and kind of, I don't know, in the game of Survivor, forgave the transgression of voting against you, if that is such a transgression. Like in the sense of he went against me, and now I'm going to forgive him and work with him, and hopefully that will curry favor for me moving forward. That's kind of my take on Jack. Like, he showed that he could change his allegiance and trust somebody complicitly.
And when you say, like, do you feel like comfortable with them? I think like that's kind of like comfortable working with him. Like, I feel like that's kind of what I was seeing from the YouTube video, from the episodes, kind of like the Jeremy Collins thing of like, yeah.
And I'm a big believer too in like the natural Survivor player. I think that like, we could talk about like moves we ought to make, what we need to be doing in the game for preparation, stuff like that. But some people, and I think Jackson's people, who have just like these certain innate characteristics where we want to see them succeed. I think out there, and from the jury's perceptions, people want to see Jack succeed. Even when you're not with them, like, it feels good knowing that Jack won. Like, that's a good feeling. Like, he really wanted it. He's an earnest guy, and he just has a certain characteristic to me at least. He has a very winnable personality. And I think even those small things serve you so well. I think that played into so much of why Jack won. We wanted to see Jack succeed just because of kind of who he is. And when you compare that to someone like Jeff, no one really wanted to see Jeff succeed. I think Nolan barely did. I think,
can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, all the things you guys are saying are true. Another thing I want to like highlight about my game, I guess, I think I have good target selection. I think like you kind of talked about like my big move. I don't think it's necessarily like a big move, but I think getting Cole out at Final 8 was like an underrated, like sneaky move. We got the people out who needed to go out like at each round, I think. And that was through kind of talking with like Kirk and Cheston and Jeff. But I mean, maybe not like pre-merge because I was voting wrong like every time. But after that, I was voting the right people. And Kirk talked about the like swap vote. I voted Kirk. It was like a weird thing because we knew when Trevor would be out of the game, he would be at Ponderosa, and the Ponderosa was like near the Hekiba camp. So there was a fear that if Trevor knew that I flipped on him then he would like whisper to Tyler or something that I flipped. So I think it's kind of this like 4-dimensional thinking that also like helped me in the game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you said you were a survivor genius, so
Just like Trevor or Tyler, like you were saying, like it's hard to not root for Jack. I think like Alice, I didn't necessarily root for you for the game, but it's like after the game, like I found you very likable in the game. You were very easy to talk to, and it's like after I called you all shit, I think you were the only one I apologized to. And I was like, I maybe shouldn't have done that. I didn't apologize. I didn't even apologize to the guy I voted for. And then it's like we went to the same music festival, and it's like I was like, hey, I'm gonna come find you. Like, let's go hang out for a night. Like you're a very easy person to talk to. So I found like even though necessarily I didn't like vote for you, and that I see what Tyler means though. You are very likable. You were like this 19-year-old kid. You seem like really young. There's this rumor you and Cole were cousins, which was like a hilarious rumor throughout the season.
If Jeff was at the music festival, would you try to meet up with him as well?
No.
Side note, one of my favorite things about the episode was on Nolan's vote, it said Jeff and then parentheses regular shit. That was so good on the vote. But yeah, I agreed with what Tyler was saying and Nolan and Kirk. Everything y'all are saying about Jack is accurate. I think one of his best things is that he just knew how to roll with the punch. Like it was never, I'm sure he made hard decisions, but from like the outside looking in, it didn't seem like they were that hard for him. Like he knew what was coming at him and he knew which way he needed to go every time, it seemed like.
And I agree on the likability, but I think another huge thing that made me vote for Jack too was his genuineness. Whenever I was talking with the enemy alliance and Medea, like Jeff or Chaston or Kirk or whoever, it always felt like a sales pitch. Whereas when I was talking to Jack, it felt like I was having a real conversation with him and he was seriously considering what I was saying. And even though he didn't vote with me at the end of the day, I felt like he seriously considered it. And he always felt like he was a very deep thinker. And he's always running all the scenarios through his head. So even though he didn't pick my scenario, I felt like he really thought about what he was doing, and I felt comfortable with it, especially since part of the reason I didn't vote for Jeff was because it felt like he had Stockholm syndrome, whereas Jack kind of left his captors at the merge and voted them all out. So I respected that he just flipped and totally annihilated everyone who tried to get him out pre-merge.
Oh, I feel like I don't. The video just changed it. Wow, that was amazing. Maverick, I completely agree with Cole. I just think that's a really good assessment of Jack and where Jack played into this game. I mean, he voted against me, and I was willing to flip right away and go right to him. When he talks to you, he's authentic, and I think if people are listening to this to try to take away how do I win Survivor in a live reality game setting, I think being authentic, even if you're not completely truthful with a person and trying to come across as just very real and not a salesperson is such a good lesson to learn in this moment. Like, be a salesperson, but don't come across as a salesperson if you want to go further in Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be too perfect, right? Like, you don't want to be like just too, like, you're too good. Like, that was my thing with Kurt always. Like, Kurt is such a charming, articulate guy, but it's like, well, this guy's too good. Like, why is he saying these things to me like this, right? Like, you need, like, and, you know, it didn't hurt Kirk in the end, so it's no issue. But that's why Kirk was always in the situation. And they cut this out of the Tribal Council, but I said at the final line Tribal Council, I'm like, Kirk, at the final 5 or 4, they're going to get you. They are not going to take you to the end. They're going to be scared of you. And Jack was like, oh, no, we won't. Well, you know, but it's when you have that sort of skill, when you're that articulate and that charming, it's really hard to get to the end. That final 5, final 4 spot for any player like that, it's brutal. You lose immunity. It's really hard to, like, convince people otherwise of the obvious, like, well, yeah, I am going to smoke you in the final 3, but, you know, you should still take me. That's a really tough situation to be in. So, like, if you could be a bit more, like, which I think was really good in Jack, like, a bit more coy with it, where he's authentic, but he's not, like, overly charming, still coy. That's, like, the best spot you want to be in. Like, you want to be in that.
Yeah. And, like, another thing is, like, throughout all the games I've played, I feel like almost always the people that you don't end up on a tribe with before the merge, you just naturally want to target them when you get to the merge, just because of lack of familiarity and you just don't know where their heads are at. This was the only time where I wasn't on a tribe with Jack the entire time, where I felt very comfortable with him at the merge. We had a conversation in the middle of the field. He made me feel comfortable with him. And at that point, I trusted him more than anyone in the game, to the point where Tyler is telling me we should vote Jack out. And I said, no, I can't do that. After just talking to him for one conversation. And that's,
Wow.
I was so
that's
pissed.
what I think
I was
is
so
a
pissed
good
when you
testament
said
to
no
this game.
too.
Yeah, I think to an extent, kind of the coyness that Tyler was talking about is kind of a strategy. Like, obviously, even if I tried, I couldn't be like as charming as Kirk. But to an extent, I was trying to downplay kind of my like survivor brain, I guess, and I tried to kind of have like wide eyes and like be like, oh, like yeah, sounds good, like just play down the survivor mind.
Well, and it worked well for you because of how people thought about you. They saw you as like this young kid that's like there and playing, and like it just fit the persona that you had so well.
And this is more advice for everyone. If you are a young, straight, white male, yeah, look, everyone's going to think you're going to be this try-hard strategist. That's just how you are. I know you're watching this right now. I used to be like that. Cole was like that. Nolan was like that. Jack was like that. Mason tried to be like that. Like, we just know what it's like. And you kind of got to give yourself a bit of a quirk. Like, be a bit different, that you're almost more of a character than a strategist. That's what I did. I'm very bombastic and outrageous out there. Nolan was very loud and kind of joking, stuff like that. And Jack had that coy part to him. And I think that's what hurt Cole in his first game, because when I would talk to Cole, I'm like, this guy is just that typical thinker. He wants to make moves and stuff like that. So if you fit a stereotype of someone who's a strategic person, you have to add more flair to yourself to kind of distract people. Because I think when you're in the game, you have to think, if you look at yourself as a stereotype, how would other people perceive that stereotype, and why are you there? So if they think you're there to be strategic, that's a really bad spot to be in. You want to show them that you're there for a different reason.
And I think Cole's, when I watched him play Reelfoot, and I was a live feeder, and I was a big critiquer of Cole's game, but I was completely wrong, because Cole, you played the exact game you needed to play, which was a little bit just slightly different than this game, which is exactly what took you from jury to the end of the game, and which shows what decisions you made in Reelfoot that were slightly different from this experience took you to that end. So I mean, I'd have to like sit there and analyze both of those, but I think that's a good example of one taking, like, learning from one experience and then playing the next time and doing badass from that experience.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other thoughts on that same train?
I love watching Cole play Survivor. That's all I have to say. And
Yeah,
you guys
after
should watch
being
Survivor Pacific Northwest, where Cole is also playing Survivor.
after being voted out by Cole numerous times, including Reelfoot, there was like a real, it's like Craig, like you mentioned, a real slight, it was almost like a confident boost. Like he went to the gym like a few times a week, and it just like entered his personality. And it was just like, it's like you got distracted by, he wasn't this quirky kid, but like that's all I thought of him as the same this season Cole, when in reality he just had like a slight more confident about him, and it's just like it was like a mist was put over him, and it's like now I see through it and I see through his bullshit, but like that in Reelfoot it like completely fooled me.
I like
Yeah,
it.
it's been awesome. It's been awesome to watch Cole play, and I've played with him in 2 ORGs since Survivor BC, and seeing him play in those has been pretty cool too. He won one of those that we played in, and he was definitely a completely different player than in BC for sure, in a good way.
Just important to note though, if you're out there, if you think you've played an ORG before and something like a live game, stay home. You will be pre-merged. You will be gone. They are completely different. For a second, if you think it is anything you're carrying over, stop. don't do it. Don't play. Just think about it a bit more. But to get on more to like, I'm curious because I haven't talked to Kurt about this. Like, Kirk, what do you think you could have done differently where you would have won? Because I think if you make the final three, it's very easy for you to get the jury votes. What's been like your kind of like post-analysis regrets in this game?
That's a really interesting question, Tyler. I mean, I watched this and really like reflected on the arguments I made with the final four. And I thought I made the right arguments. I will say that. So saying that and realizing that their personalities and their aptitude and their self-awareness of the game didn't set me to the end. And even though I still will argue, I think it's still a split vote, but people like Nolan have said it's 7-0-0 and you get all the votes. And I don't think that's the case. But regardless, I think my only other trajectory then is to go way back into the game and to go back where I aligned with Jeff instead of Cole. So see, Jeff and Cole were both on the bottom of Medea. I was also on the bottom of Medea, and I didn't realize this. I didn't know that Nolan and Amos had like a pseudo plan that could put me on the bottom. So I knew Cole and Jeff were on the bottom. I told both of them at some point, and I eventually went with Jeff. Had I gone with Cole and had maybe Cole believed in me and maybe tried to throw me to the side of Suzette, Trevor, and Regan, and everybody else, maybe a different scenario happens. I don't know. Maybe I end up in the same exact place I'm in, but I don't know. I think I can beat you guys in Final Four Challenge. Jeff is the king of fucking standing on one foot. So I don't know. I think I beat you, Tyler.
You definitely beat me. There's no question for that. And yeah, I always said let's just other things. I think when you're in the end game, if you are a serious player, like if you're a 13 player, you want that bigger threat there because you want to be able, if you do lose that immunity challenge, which is likely, there's a 75% chance you're going to lose it, to say, vote off this person instead. They're also really good, right? Like you want to be able to have that person there. When you're in the final four with three goats, no offense, Jack, you won, so whatever, say what you want. It's very hard for you to say, hey, Kurt's right. He made the best arguments he could have made. But, sometimes, you can only make the best arguments that the sky is red when it's really blue. We all see it. We all know the truth. You can make the most crazy philosophical arguments and it's just not going to work sometimes.
Just I kind of have a question. Like Kirk, one, I we were texting the other day or messaging, and I talked to you. I was like, yeah, I thought you would have won 7-0-0, and knowing it was 3-2, you getting voted out made it so much interesting. It's get end of the game, and it's at least.
Is Nolan buzzing out for anyone?
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah,
I couldn't understand you, Nolan.
Yeah,
cool.
Oh, okay.
So if Nolan wants to type that question, that would be fabulous. Yeah. I mean, I will tell you this, Nolan, in regards to any strategy working with you, you were a strong competitor towards winning immunity, and I was worried towards working towards anybody that could win immunity against me. And I was completely wrong at the skills. I mean, and it really came down to what I just talked about. Nolan wasn't aligning himself on Jack's side, on the Jeff side, which ends up being Jeff and Jack's side. For me, my trajectory isn't really Jack, it's Jeff or Cole. And Jack ends up on the side of Jeff. So you can see kind of where my trajectory ends up going in this game. I hope Nolan jumps back in so we get to really hear what his question was.
I think that's a good note that Nolan's back, or he's loading.
He's come back from the edge of extinction.
I wasn't going to flip for just flipping sake at that point in the game because I didn't need to play the chaos role yet. So there's no reason for me to go crazy when I have barely been to tribal council.
Can everyone hear me now, by the way?
Yeah.
We're good? Okay, cool. So Kirk, I just have a quick question for you. Would you I consider you we've talked into like I learned a lot from your game watching you play, and it's like Tyler, you were talking about. Would looking back, would you ever look at considering like would it have been a good option for me to go to you and be like, you need to keep me in the game because they're gonna come for me? Like, would it have been a better kind of like probably now like looking back at the shield option like.
Well, it might be a different take than what some people say. I love it when people play the game. And like, I'm just one of those Survivor players where I want everybody to always say that. I want every person in the game to come up to me and say, you should keep me in the game. Why? Because you're playing the game first. Like, that's my number one indicator that you're playing the game. 2, then I can validate your argument, your social argument, whether it's worthwhile or not. And would I say there were some people that didn't do that to me in this season? Yes. And would I also say that I did not necessarily say that to other people? Yes, that's the case as well.
Yeah, I mean, Final 7, the round I went. I mean, it was super fun running around like chickens, like our heads cut off, like looking for idols, as we all knew what the vote was going to be. And I was like, well, this is my only option. But that was, maybe I should have like taken a step back, but it was still a fun round.
So I want to talk a bit about, because like, I haven't really spoken about this since it all transpired after I was voted off. Can we talk a bit about Hunter and his trajectory of this season? Because he was all over the place.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster.
I broke Hunter at the merge.
He did not want to face you in that final tribal. I mean, he was so scared of getting roasted by Tyler.
Did he have any hope at the end if he made it?
I would have voted for Hunter to win, 100%.
What?
No, I swear to God. Like, I know why. Like, when Regan was voted off, she pulled me aside and said, Tyler, Hunter's really helped me out in this game. So if he makes the end, like, can we vote for him? And I said, yeah. Like, look. So unless he was like against Kirk, Hunter probably would have gotten my vote. Yeah, obviously Kirk. Obviously Kirk. But yeah, no, I would have voted for Hunter to win. I mean, I still would have drilled into him. Not against you, Kirk, but I would have voted for Hunter to win. But I would have like drilled into him at the final tribal council. But I mean, like, I guess I will say though, I was wrong about Hunter. He's not weak. Everyone knows all the strong players don't quit the game, right? The final 5 strong players always ask to be voted off. That's not a weak move, right? To ask to be voted off for them. So I guess I was wrong. He showed his strength.
He's so strong, Tyler. He shows the least cowardice of any player I've ever met in Survivor. I've never met a Survivor that said, I want to quit. I want to stop. I know, Hannah, you're not going to like this right now, this side of me. But I played with a player that said, I want to do this. And then said to me at Tribal Council, I never said that. I never said I didn't want to quit. I'm going to say this right now. Bitch, rewatch the episodes. Rewatch the episodes. And you can come back at me because you said that to me, and I have no respect for that because there were plenty of times these hardcore strategists made me want to quit the game, including night 2, night 3, where I was crying myself to sleep because I never thought I'd get to the next round. Hunter, I still love you, Hunter, but come on, dude.
I think it's like, you know, the thing with Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is so small that she can only hold one emotion at a time. Hunter feels one emotion at a time, and he's going to feel that emotion so strongly. That's what it is.
Well, it's pity for himself, but I mean, like, it's
well, it's not bad. It's not bad for him to feel the emotion. It's just that he was, like you said, it was always so much of one thing or the other.
And I just want to say one thing. This has been kind of a trend that's gone in reality TV for the past few years. I don't know what's happened. It seems like everyone's strong. No matter what you do, you're strong. Oh, you're crying. That's a sign of strength. You want to quit? That's really strong that you did what you wanted to do. Like, okay, I think Hunter's a nice guy, and he had a rough time out there. But it means something to be strong, and it means something to be weak. And if we're saying, no, Hunter's a strong guy, that's a really, really, really low bar for what is strong. Right? Like, and I feel like and Kurt's an English teacher. So
has anybody said he's strong?
Some meaning. Sorry?
Have we said he's strong?
But, like, no, but like, he's what would you consider
weak? I think
weak?
He's proving that we shouldn't.
What would you consider weak? Like, what do you have to do to be weak?
I just would have won, right?
You broke him. Like he was just done. He didn't want to go to final tribal because he didn't want to face Tyler. So okay, we don't need to harp on Hunter's week. We all get it, right?
You agree that? So I was right then. That's all I want, like the reassurance. When I said
no, I'm not. No, I don't agree with you at that tribal council. I don't agree with what you were saying at that tribal.
that he was
Okay,
weak.
I just want to.
Yeah.
I just want to hop in here. The thing that like frustrated me about Hunter, I don't care that he cried. I don't care about any of that. What really frustrated me was that he would come to me and Cole, and I was like, I will flip to you, Regan, and Cole, but we have to vote Tyler out first. And I was like, what the flying fuck?
There's so
If
much
we
tunnel
keep
vision.
Tyler, we have the majority. And if we have the majority, we can vote Tyler out whenever. I don't care about Tyler. And Cole and me are so frustrated. We're like yelling at him that we need Tyler. And he's like, no, I'm voting out Tyler first, then I'll flip. And then he literally flips to the minority. We're like, what are you doing? Like, that was just the most frustrating part about Hunter for me was that like if you flip, we vote out Kirk, we vote out Justin, and then we can vote out Tyler. And I have no issues with that. But don't flip after. Don't flip to the minority. Like
that was what I did, and it was a stupid move.
And like was it shown in the episodes why he cried for the first time? Because like the first time I saw him crying was right after the merge, or the first challenge of the merge, after the touchy subjects thing, and he was like crying behind a tree.
Oh yeah.
It was because was the reason shown. The reason was 100% because Tyler was given immunity.
Yeah. It looked like it was because we called him annoying, but the actual
it's because Tyler won. Yeah,
it's because I won immunity.
Yeah.
Like, how pathetic. Like, I'm sorry, but like
it was because of the production error, and they had to reward you, Tyler, and you, Jack, with immunity, and so he was upset that he wasn't the sole immunity person. And especially that you got it, Tyler.
Well, I don't think he cared that Jack got it, though. I think it was just that Tyler got it.
Yeah, you could have given Jack immunity for the next 4 rounds. He would have been fine. Put up for 1 round.
But part of that is kind of what Cheston was talking about earlier, where the whole narrative was that Tyler's like this like big bad bully, and that's where I came to the Medea swap tribe, and I was playing all of that stuff up. It's like, yeah, Tyler's the worst. He's an abusive parent, all that stuff. And then that kind of got into Hunter's head, probably, who's an emotional player. And then that directed him in part to want to get Tyler out of 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm toxic masculinity, according to Jeff. Right? Like, I need to work on that. And like, I don't know where this is coming from. Like, just because I called someone, and there seems to be this idea that I think if you cry, you're weak. That's not the case. I don't think if you cry, you're weak. It was just the reasons that Hunter was doing it, and like crying because I want immunity, I thought was a bit foolish. But I just want to say, like, look, you can call, like, people could say I was a bully or whatever this season. I don't think I was. And I'll address it to my other cast members. Did anything I say out there, was any of it false? Like, most of what I said was true usually, and I was speaking the truth. I wasn't making things up, and I wasn't like harassing people.
I have a question about Hunter for the original Medea members, because this is something that I wanted to ask, honestly, for the last 2 years now. So before the game, a lot of everyone that's watched the show, you guys didn't see this at the beginning, but we got to stand there in a circle and talk, just, amongst whoever, before we even knew, what tribes were or anything. And there was one person that turned me off from working with them out of that entire circle. And guess who it was? Hunter. So I want to ask you guys, it was just because, I don't know, it was just, he just was so put offish by like the jokes and stuff that he said. And I wanted to ask you, original Medea people, did you feel that same way with Hunter, like early in the game? Was he ever, I was so certain that if you guys ever went to tribal, he was going to be the first person gone.
No, I definitely agree. And I got the same feeling. And I guess the impression I got from him even more from the Medea camp, which I guess you wouldn't have known from Hecuba, was that every time a camera came around, he'd like jump up and become like a different person. And he'd like try and get in front of the screen to get his camera time. And he'd have like 20-minute confessionals, like 3 times longer than most people. So I don't know, that kind of turned me off from working with him. I don't know.
So like I talked about earlier, like if we had lost, the plan was trying to get out Hunter, and that was because like, so I found him annoying, and there was this like moment where we were all laying down. It was at the end of the night, and I slept beside Sam, and I rolled over, and Hunter was talking, and Sam just rolled his eyes, and I knew at that moment Sam found him annoying. I found him annoying. I was like, this is a thing where we can rally behind people finding him annoying as the first vote, and that was kind of it. So yeah, I 100% agree with you, Mace. I was turned off by him. I knew there was other people too, and that's where he was gonna be like my initial target, just literally because I found him annoying.
I saw Hunter as annoying right away, and that made him an asset to my game. I wanted to keep Hunter around as long as possible. I think taking out the person who is annoying is a terrible move. And so Hunter, I literally slept next to every single night in order to like convince my loyalty and like be able to whisper sweet nothings into this person's ear. And everybody is right. I did steal food. It was hidden in my sleeping bag, and I was giving it to people like Cheston, Hunter. Well, maybe not Cheston. Maybe it was somebody. But Hunter for sure next to me, like, here, you want some granola bar? I don't want to hear them. Listen to me crunching on it because I wasn't looking for clues. I was just stealing your food, Medea. That's it. I was just stealing your food. That's all.
I love it. I love it.
I wish I could have seen that. That would have been better than Tyson with the peanut butter. I mean, that would have been a good scene.
And I think that's a good point by Kurt, though. And like, and the Boston Rum said this. It's such the small things. Who you sleep next to is so important. Like early in the game, like it is so like there's these things you don't see. It is crucial. And like you, especially early on in the game, you'll run a fine line between you don't want to sleep to people who you want to be perceived as close with, but at the same time, you bond a lot when you sleep next to the person. So if you're not sleeping next to them, you're like, oh, I don't want anyone to know you're there. That's actually going to hurt your bond. Is that we're this close to each other, we're sleeping next to each other, we're saying sweet nothings to each other. That's what builds the trust. And you want to be very aware of who's sleeping next to who and who you should be sleeping next to. It's really important. Which Devin said this on, I think, like your last like episode. But like at the merge, I was very concerned with who everyone in our tribe was going to be sleeping next to, because I'm like, guys, this is important. This could make or break the next few rounds. You got to be sleeping next to them. I'll sleep here. You sleep there. I was voted out, so it didn't happen. But I think it's so important.
Well, Tyler, you say that, and I think when you stated that in the episode or in the after recap, I think even though I didn't necessarily get the votes, I think I would have been the next target. Had you not been voted out, I'm probably one of the next biggest targets to get voted out, and you stay in the game. And I think that strategy like stands at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you were like, I remember I didn't vote for you in the final 9, but that's because I realized that there's no hope with Hunter, and I changed the plan. I'm like, okay, I just want to prove to everyone that you can't trust Hunter. He's like weak. He's gonna flip. But yeah, like you were obviously the biggest threat in the game, and if I could have my way, what I think the easiest path for me at that point was for you to not be in that game, because I think you were obviously the biggest threat against me. I was like, yeah, Kirk's the guy who's gonna get me in this game, and you did.
I have a question for King Jack and maybe Kirk too. What happens at the final 6 vote if you guys are able to discuss before everything happens?
Oh, good question. Because we saw the crazy twist. That was insane of immediate immunity win, immediate tribal. Kirk, your reaction was so funny. I was dying. But you still
like thank you, Jaira, for a great twist that fucks up your game. I was purposefully playing a confident game and trying not to feel nervous, even though I was exceptionally nervous from even the final 10 going forward. So I was trying to be like uber confident, even though I wasn't. And like that move was probably my worst gameplay where honestly, it was probably good for my gameplay. I should have leveraged that round as more of a reason to take me to the finals, where I was the one that voted in a 3-2-1 vote. I was the 1 vote. So that's the reason to take me to the end. I was completely unclear. But the reason I was unclear, I mean, Jack, you can clarify this, but I think it was you guys either had a conversation right before the vote or you were able to clarify the vote at Tribal Council non-verbally, where I will tell you this to everybody listening, I did not know the vote prior to the vote. So at that point, I'm not in control. I don't know what's happening. I want Hunter out for my game.
Yeah, I actually think getting rid of Hunter for you, Kirk, was actually a really smart and totally the right move. And like I said, I think Kirk wins this game if he can somehow get Regan in the final four. I think if Regan's there within the final four, he wins the game because Regan, unless she wins immunity, then he's kind of fucked. But if she loses immunity, which she could have, he's in the final three and wins because Regan was the biggest jury threat there.
Yeah.
She obviously beats anyone. And that's why I think
everyone loved her.
intuitively it was really smart for Kirk to vote Hunter. And I do think if they had more time, I do think Kirk would have been more proactive in trying to get the votes on Hunter instead of Regan.
Tyler, you're 100%. I wanted Hunter gone that round. It wasn't like I didn't want him. Now, could I have swayed Jack or Cheston or Jeff? I don't know because I never had the opportunity to even make the argument. But I would have liked that chance.
Did you think about
Cole's question? Sorry. I think there's a possibility that Kirk goes out at final six if we're able to discuss. I know you had the fake idol and maybe we didn't know if you had it, but who knows? Maybe if we get that camp life, maybe someone can find the idol. It would have been difficult for me personally because I don't know. Maybe I felt like you were my shield in a way, Kirk, but Regan would also serve that purpose. So, and I think the tiebreaker might be that I would see you as a better challenge threat, which is what would be stopping me from winning just like final four immunity and being guaranteed to the end. So I think it's either you or Regan, which is what actually happened. But I don't think we ever discussed like right at Tribal that it was going to be Regan. Me, Cheston, and Jeff were closer than we let on to you, Kirk. We had a final three from probably like final 7 or 8. And we tried to sway votes that like served all three of our best interests getting to the end together. The 3 goats to the end.
So something that I want to bring up, I see somebody in the comments said Kirk would have probably found that idol had you gone back to camp. Funny thing about that is I was helping production at this point. We put the idol in a pan on the fireplace and all 6 of you walked right by it.
Whoa.
I mean, it was literally just out in the open for everyone to walk right by. Somebody could have gotten an idol as they're walking into Tribal and no one got it. It was the craziest thing. Like I was sitting there watching like, surely someone's going to see this like obvious plastic bag sitting here in the pan on the fire, but it didn't happen. That would have been really cool to see somebody find an idol as that Tribal is basically beginning.
Amazing.
I saw that. Like, Mason, now that you're saying that, I know exactly what you're talking about. But at the same time, like, it's funny how different Final 5 versus Final 4 is, or Final 6 versus Final 5 versus when you can play an idol. Like, I don't know if there's a move I can potentially make to get myself past that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just happy nobody actually was continuously looking for the idol. Like, I wanted the idol play to be done. I was done with it and wanted to just play Survivor at that point, which is what Tyler could say at round 10. He was like, fuck the idols. Tyler, in fact, if nobody knows this, I want people to know this. Because Jack, thank God you got the super idol. But I did not want the super idol because Tyler was so he was very able to convince people of certain things, and he thought the super idol was overpowered, and he made that very apparent to the entire cast and crew between shootings. There was no way I wanted the super idol in my possession. I wanted anybody else to have it and just at least to know maybe where it was. There's been a lot of discussion of what people should have done in response to a super idol. And I think that's a further discussion in the meta of Survivor. But what we get down to is not for me, but if you're on the other side, people, you need to throw all your votes on it. It's all you can do. And you need to accept the fact that you are going to lose one person in your alliance and then move forward from it.
That's why it's such a horrible thing to have in the game. But yeah, like Kirk was right. I was very adamant. Like, you touch that super idol, you will not get my vote in. And I say that's a huge reason why I also didn't vote Jack. I was like, well, here's the super idol. Like, and like, look again, the person who had the super idol won the game. Oh, shocker. Yo had it, he won. Terry had it, he almost won. Tony got it, he almost won. It's almost as if it's actually overpowered. And like Jack, I know like it makes sense for you to hold on to it. Like, obviously, like, I'm not gonna strain you for that because you want to get it. But like that was part of my strategy too. I was like, I want people to be scared of this thing. I will not respect them if they take the super idol. Which it's true though. If I see someone get to the end and it's almost all an idol play, that is not as impressive as to me to someone who gets through there with social capital and social maneuvering. I am very anti-idol. I am an old school Survivor fan. That's just what I like. That's what I cheer for. And I think what people don't talk about enough is that every season you play in will have a certain culture. There's a certain culture around your season, and there's usually things are thrown around. There's like, sometimes it's all about loyalty, big moves can be in culture, idol play can be in culture, anti-idol play. And if you can like formulate the culture by kind of having those conversations like super idol suck or loyalty is best to your strengths, that's really powerful for your end game because you want everyone kind of thinking about these things and like, oh yeah, it's all about loyalty. Oh, well, he was loyal, so let me vote for him because apparently that's important. I think that's people don't do enough. They don't talk about the meta of the game enough when they're actually in the game.
Yeah, I thought that was something you did really well, Tyler, because even early on, like, I didn't want to look for the super idol. I didn't want it because I knew, obviously you were the main proponent of whoever has this thing's not winning the game, but obviously they did. You were just saying that to scare people away from it, but I didn't want it. It seemed like this overpowered thing that nobody, actually wanted, but eventually somebody would have to find because
I would have wanted it.
It is the theme of the season. So
I think there's.
I even agreed before. I even agreed before I found the super idol to not vote for whoever finds the super idol. I was just going along with what Tyler was saying. I was like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was like a heck of a
so
promise. We were like, yeah, we're not going to vote for a super
Just call him
idol
Boston Tyler. Just listen to what he says.
When me and Tyler
tells you
I don't
where to
think the
sleep,
super idol
tells
like
you what to sleep.
I don't know if like any vote goes differently if there's no super idol. Like final 8, maybe we're at a 4-4 tie then. But
I don't think it changes anything.
So two things I want to say. So one, when me and Tyler had that midnight or like 3 a.m. conversation, it ended with Tyler turning to me and he's like, "Oh, by the way, if I ever catch you looking for the idol, we'll vote you out." And he's like, "That's the only thing you'll ever do to get me to flip on you." And then he just walked away. And I was like, "Oh," and I never actually looked at the idol. I was like, "All right, I guess we don't look for idols here." And then after that final 7, so the plan was if we found the idol, Jack, was to actually pile all the votes on you. And then we're going to get Hunter to tip you off to bring your super idol. Then I play the idol on me, and you play your super idol, and the votes would be 0, 0, 0s across the board. And then in the revote, we were going to vote for Kirk, and then tell Justin and Jack if they do not vote for Kirk, there'd be only 2 going for Rock, as we assume Hunter would be getting the secondary votes with Kirk. And that's how we were going to get Kirk out at 7. But we just could never find the idol, so the plan fell through. But we had this like pretty thoughtful, like pretty soundproof plan, but we just could never find the idol. But that's how we were gonna flush the super idol.
I love it.
Hannah, when are you gonna play Survivor BC?
I know. I really want to one day. I don't know.
Will you be in an alliance with me when we get out there?
Yes, absolutely.
Good, I'm glad.
Just check out their first podcast together. You'll be sure to know that they're definitely going to be
totally
in an alliance together.
To change the conversation, I feel like we need to talk more about Suzette. Like, I think it was so cool that you had someone from Big Brother Canada. What season was she on? I don't remember.
The original. She was on the
season
first
1.
I actually just saw her last night.
Yeah. So how
did you actually?
Yeah, no, I did. I saw her. I passed by her
how
in
is
a
she
restaurant.
doing? What does she think of? How did she? looked like she enjoyed the game. But what is your guys' thoughts? How did Suzette do, and how did she feel about Survivor BC with her big old makeup bag out in the middle of the woods?
She had a great time. Like Suzette is still such a good. Like I hung out with her quite a bit after the initial season. Like her, Regan, and Trevor and myself, we were a very tight group. Suzette is still one of the many people from the season who will still message me every now and again, wish me a happy birthday, check up on me. She is such a sweet, fun person. I'm so glad I got to meet her and play the game with her. She's smarter than people give her credit for. Yeah, having Suzette there was just a blast. And I think it's so funny she brought her makeup with her. Like, that was just the funniest thing in the world. I enjoyed her presence so much, man. She was
Talk
awesome.
about a luxury item. My makeup
She
bag.
had and it's not even just like she had like a little makeup case. It was like
It was huge.
big.
Yeah, it was huge.
It was so
funny. We did that challenge at the beginning to get stuff across the line. Like she just wanted the makeup bag.
She was taking.
She was like, screw my pillow, screw my sleeping bag, makeup.
She looked
Anyway,
great.
hey, she looked great out there. So
Cole did she say anything yesterday, Cole, about
Oh
Survivor?
no,
BC?
I was just like passed by her and I said
Oh,
hi.
okay.
And she was like with her family, so I didn't want to like bug her too much. So
Yeah, that's
we
probably
went to a
wise.
strip club with Suzette once.
what was that?
We went to a strip club with Suzette once.
Did we?
I think we did.
Maybe.
I think she used her strip
It must have been pretty good, Cole. You don't remember it.
Or maybe
Yeah,
that might have been Trevor and I actually. I don't know. I remember Suzette took me somewhere once, and it's like, oh wow, this is crazy.
So Tyler's the one that doesn't remember it. That's how good it was.
That's oh man, best night of my life. What can I say?
Yeah, she was so fun. It was her exit the tribal that was like the crazy like situation where the idol play, the chess
Yeah, we're
play
testing
her
the idol.
title. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that was a really interesting tribal council because like I remember in the final 10, I kind of told people like I wanted Cheston gone, and I told people, and then I found out recently, this was after the immunity challenge too, when we just thought Hunter had won it. All of a sudden, Kirk knew the plan to get rid of Cheston. Jack knew the plan to get rid of Cheston. Everyone knew the plan to get rid of Cheston. I'm like, this isn't good. So I pulled people aside. I pulled like Nolan, Regan, Suzette, and I said, vote Jack instead. Vote Jack. No one, fuck them. Just vote Jack. We'll see who's really with us, who votes Cheston, but vote Jack. Cole was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do Jack. I'm like, we got to do it. But then Jack was given immunity anyways, and I was too. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I've got immunity. Let's just vote Cheston.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a pretty chaotic round. There's a lot of like I don't think people realize we didn't have a lot of time at the merge tribal council or the final 9. It was really quick. So we didn't have time to really talk this all.
Okay, so my question is, what's really quick for Survivor BC? I played a live game. I feel like ours is like super fast comparatively.
So for mine, I think between the final 9 immunity challenge and me being voted out, I think was 20 to 30 minutes tops. Like there was like no time there. The merge, we maybe had just under an hour.
So yes,
Wow.
Hannah, you had much less
Yeah.
time.
Oh, 20 minutes sounds like a dream.
Yeah. So those of you playing Survival Challenge on most, you have to think 2 to 3 votes ahead of time because your votes happen at every like 15 minutes. 20 minutes. You don't have time to talk. Whereas we had for sure, because I've witnessed both and played in one, there's definitely more time in BC to talk and strategize than players do in SC, which is why players like you, Hannah, that get so far in SC, it's like, how the hell did you do it?
Luck. Yeah, do you want to talk more about that vote at all? I'm reading Keenan's comment in the chat. It's very long and pretty funny. So.
Yeah.
How did we find out that Cheston was the vote?
He says for the entire pre-merge, it's me. I'm the pre-merge. Is Tyler still bitter and jerking off to the idea of Cheston winning? No, I don't think so. Does Cole delusionally think
here, boy?
Does Cole delusionally think Jeff betrayed him despite the fact that he just remained loyal to others? I don't know. I guess that's more of a Cole question than me.
I don't think Jeff betrayed me. I just found it puzzling that he stayed with the people who wanted him out originally. I don't know. I didn't feel betrayed by him. I was just puzzled.
And like this is, and like I mean, we can sit here and post talk all day about why we think we did things or when we do there. When you're actually playing, a lot of it's just your best gut guess in the situation, and then you try to explain it later. That's why I kind of got very irritated in the final three, because I feel like whenever we make the final three, for whatever reason, the final three planned it all along. They had everything set up. They knew it. No, I've played these before. I'm much smarter than most of the people who made final three. And even me, I'm playing like 1, maybe 2 rounds ahead, and you just make the best move possible. So like that to me, like to future Survivor players, do not do that. If you come in and say
humility.
Yeah, I had a lot of luck. I did the best that I can each time. That goes a long way with the jury. It's very irritating. Like, yeah, when I was actually voting the minority and I was in the bottom, I did that as a plan. It's like, okay. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Is Nolan still the king of popping the balloons? You were awesome at that challenge, Nolan. That was such a fun challenge.
You know, that honestly it was so good. And I was really excited to watch it. I just remember doing that challenge and like when it was just one. I remember when there was 4 of us spinning around in a circle, and then when it was just me and Cole. I remember just like literally, I was like, I'm just going to grab him and not let him move. And I really thought that was captured. And it was super fun. I enjoyed it.
Great challenge.
Yeah, it was the highlight challenge for me, getting that win, that immunity win. Yeah.
But are you still good at popping someone's balloon?
I don't know. Hopefully, you never know.
I think that was the way it was phrased in the comment.
Yeah, I changed it, Mason. So, okay, Mason. It is past midnight for me here in Little Old Ohio, but I have loved chatting with you guys. You guys can stay on and keep talking. Like Kirk and Dustin know how to end the broadcast, but I'm gonna peace out. Loved the season. Loved watching you guys play. It was so fun, and yeah, I've loved every bit of it. So good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Hannah.
Bye.
Bye.
I love Keenan, man. How did
Yeah,
this guy not?
great.
I love him so much.
This has been a blast. What a reunion. It's been two years or so in the making. And, you know, I would say this. For me, for the 11 people watching right now live, and for those of you watch it, you know, I've gotten to see Tyler, Cole, and Nolan play Survivor since playing against them. It's been a blast watching them. If you haven't seen these live feeds, you need to watch them. Jack, it was cool to play with you. It was awesome to watch you win in an unprecedented win. I don't know if you knew this, but I reached out to Rob Has a Podcast. We check stats. To our knowledge at this point, there is no other live Survivor season that won with a plurality vote. So we are it. We are the living existence that this can happen. So it is true. You can play Survivor from the start to the finish and not be on the top. You can be on the bottom the entire way and still win the game. This is it from Live Reality Games. It was fun playing with you guys, and I hope to see you guys around in the future.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. It was fun.